If you're not sure whether you're an avoidant or perhaps you're dating someone and you're confused about their attachment style, this video is for you. If you're unsure about your attachment style or someone else's, you're not alone. A lot of people I coach start off unsure about their own attachment style. Firstly, it's very hard to see our own attachment patterns. We've often grown up with them and they often feel so familiar, we just think they're who we are. And then in terms of other people, it can be hard to know if someone is avoidant or just not interested. Both of these things can show up in similar ways, but there are big differences too. And I've made a separate video about that. Hi, I'm Jess. I've helped over 5,000 people find love, and I coach people one-on-one to heal their attachment style so they can feel secure and stop sabotaging relationships. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. So I'm going to share 5 common phrases you hear with avoidants. And they aren't exclusive to avoidants, but if you notice these phrases coming up a lot, then there's a high chance that they are manifestations of an avoidant attachment style. So let's get into it. Number 1, I just need some space. Everyone needs space sometimes. The difference with an avoidant is how often and when this comes up. For avoidance, it's less about a bit of alone time after a busy day, and it's more about pulling back after moments of intimacy or when things feel too close. So instead of working through the discomfort with someone else, avoidants create distance to regulate their own emotions and feel okay again. And how much space we need doesn't just depend on our attachment style. It also depends on our personality. So you can think of attachment needs and personality needs as 2 separate things. So introverts do naturally need more alone time. The difference is that an introvert's need for space isn't tied to a fear of closeness, unless they have an avoidant attachment style. Number 2, I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. This one is an interesting one because it can show up at 2 different points. Some avoidants use it as a kind of preemptive shield. The walls go up from the get-go, and they set expectations early on to keep people at arm's length. But other avoidants might say they're looking for a relationship at the start, and this, for most of them, is coming from a place of truth. It's not a manipulative thing. But when the connection becomes more real and emotional intimacy increases, their system fires an internal alarm. What felt safe in theory in their minds suddenly feels overwhelming in practice, and they pull back with phrases like this to create distance and regain control. And a quick heads up, if you're constantly overthinking and second-guessing yourself, I've got something that can help. I've put together the Anxious Attachment Starter Kit. It's your perfect first step to shift from anxious to secure. You'll get the attachment awareness map, the trigger translator, and guided exercises to help you get clear on the kind of love that is actually right for you. You'll also get powerful tools to help you reconnect with yourself and build the relationship you've always wanted. And I'm giving it away for free for a limited time. Every day lost to anxious attachment is a day you won't get back. So if this speaks to you, don't wait. I've helped over 5,000 people find love through So Synced. My work has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, the New York Times, and many more. So yes, click the link in the description box to get the starter kit while it's still available. Number 3, I'm just really busy with work or a project or a hobby. It can be hard to tell with this one because everyone is juggling responsibilities and work and hobbies and passions. On its own, it's a perfectly normal thing to say, right? But in an avoidant pattern, it often shows up right when emotional closeness is building. The busyness becomes a kind of shield. It's a socially acceptable reason to pull back without admitting that intimacy feels uncomfortable. And if you notice it surfacing again and again, particularly at key moments of building connection, that's a sign of avoidance. And again, they're probably not lying. Avoidants distract themselves from sitting with uncomfortable emotions that intimacy brings up. Instead of facing those feelings head on, they often pour energy into work, projects, or hobbies. They might be staying late at the office every night, signing up for new courses or training for a marathon. And of course, these things aren't inherently bad. They might be great, but the key is whether they're done in alignment with values and life goals and your true needs, or as a way to avoid sitting with uncomfortable emotions. Number 4, I can't give you what you need. This is one of the phrases that is common with avoidants, and you'll hear it most often when things start to deepen and they feel a surge of pressure or growing expectations. And instead of leaning in and getting curious about what the other person actually needs, they're like, nope, can't do this. It's a way of shutting down the conversation before they feel inadequate or overwhelmed. And deep down, many avoidants doubt their capacity to show up in the way a healthy relationship requires. And seeing evidence that they, in inverted commas, can't do relationships, or what they perceive to be evidence of that, can feel very painful for them. It threatens the image they hold of themselves as independent and capable. And actually, sometimes they can't give you what you need. I mean, they absolutely can do the work and learn to show up in a way that a healthy relationship requires. Everyone can do that with the right guidance. But at that point in time, they might not have the awareness, support, resources, willingness, or capacity to do it. I had a dismissive avoidant say this to me once, and I was so heartbroken at the time. But looking back now, I'm like, yeah, you were right. He couldn't at that point in his life show up in the way I needed. He could have if he'd been willing to do the work, or at least some work, but he just wasn't really ready to do that. So for some avoidants, it's somewhat true, at least in that moment. But other avoidants do use it as an excuse not to try because they're scared of failing. And then other avoidants, again, can and do show up in a way that works for a healthy relationship. Every situation is different. Number 5, I really value my freedom. And this one can show up as I'm a naturally independent person. Both phrases are very common with avoidants. And on the surface, this can sound self-aware, even admirable. And yes, some people are naturally more independent. And also, independence can be a great trait when it's in balance. But in avoidant dynamics, this phrase is often used to justify distance rather than express genuine independence. So true independence doesn't shut people out, it coexists with closeness. So when someone leans on this phrase repeatedly, it can be a sign that they're protecting themselves from relying on others or being relied upon, or both. It's less about a healthy love of freedom and more about avoiding vulnerability by framing it in a way that is kind of hard to argue with. And they often do believe it themselves. So when you see avoidants heal their attachment patterns, some realize that they aren't actually super high on the independence scale at their core. Some are, some aren't. And you actually can't know until that healing process occurs. So there we have it. 5 phrases that are common with avoidance. And speaking of healing, it is very possible to heal your attachment patterns. I coach people one-on-one to do exactly that. It doesn't only change your relationships, it also changes how you feel about yourself every single day. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. Thanks for watching.